The envelope was yellow with age, its edges crumbling like dried leaves. Clara held it between trembling fingers, standing in the attic of her grandfather's house, surrounded by boxes that smelled of dust and forgotten time. Outside, rain drummed against the roof with a rhythm that felt like a warning. She had been avoiding this place for weeks, ever since the funeral, ever since they lowered him into the ground, and she realized she was the last one left, the last keeper of a family that had once been something before it became nothing. She had come looking for photographs, maybe a journal, something to remind her that her grandfather had been more than the quiet, broken man who spent his final years staring out windows as if waiting for someone who would never arrive. Instead, she found this letter, tucked inside a leather briefcase she had never seen him open, hidden beneath layers of moth-eaten fabric and old newspapers from 1984. The handwriting on the front was his. She recognized the careful, slanted script, but the ink had faded to a ghostly brown. It was addressed to no one, or perhaps to everyone, to the future, to her. Clara's hands shook as she turned the envelope over. The seal had never been broken. For 40 years, this letter had waited in the dark, patient and silent, holding something her grandfather could not bring himself to say aloud. She thought of him in his final days, thin and pale, his voice a whisper, his eyes haunted by something she could never name. He had tried to speak once, in the hospital, reached for her hand with fingers like paper, and opened his mouth as if the words were stones lodged in his throat. But nothing came, only a long, shuddering breath, and then he was gone. She tore the envelope open. The paper inside was thick, expensive, the kind used for important documents. Her grandfather had been a farmer, a man who worked with his hands, who smelled of earth and sweat. What was he doing with paper like this? The letter unfolded in 3 crisp sections, and as Clara read the first line, the attic seemed to grow colder, the rain louder, the shadows deeper. My dearest family, if you are reading this, then I am gone, and the silence I kept has finally broken. I am sorry. I am so, so sorry. But you must know the truth, even if it destroys everything I tried to protect. Clara's breath caught. She read on, her eyes moving faster, her heart pounding harder with every word. In 1956, I was 23 years old. I had just married your grandmother, and we had nothing but love and a small plot of land my father left me when he died. We were going to build a life, raise children, grow old together under the sun. But that year, a man came to our door. His name was Vincent Harrow, and he represented the Harrow Agricultural Investment Corporation. He wore a suit that cost more than our entire farm, and he spoke with the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you hold all the power in the room. He told me the land I had inherited was not really mine. He showed me documents, contracts signed by my great-grandfather in 1898, agreements I had never heard of, written in language I did not understand. According to those papers, my great-grandfather had taken a loan from the Harrow family to survive a drought, a loan with terms that were never meant to be repaid. The debt was structured to grow, to multiply across generations, to bind my family to theirs forever. By 1956, the amount owed had ballooned into something impossible, a sum that could never be paid, not in my lifetime, not in 10 lifetimes. Vincent Harrow gave me 2 choices. I could walk away from the land, surrender everything, and start over with nothing. Or I could sign a new contract, one that would let me keep the farm, but only as a tenant, a worker on my own soil, paying rent to the Harrow Corporation for the rest of my life, with the debt passing to my children and theirs until the family line ended or the debt was forgiven. He called it a mercy. He called it a partnership. He called it the only way forward. Clara stopped reading, her vision blurred with tears she did not realize were falling. She looked around the attic at the boxes, the old furniture, the remnants of a life her grandfather had lived in silence. She thought of her mother, who had died young, exhausted and sick, always working, always struggling, never understanding why. She thought of her own childhood, the way they had scraped by, the way her grandfather had worked until his body gave out, the way he had never, ever spoken about money, about the farm, about the past. She forced herself to keep reading. I signed the contract. God forgive me, I signed it. I told myself I was doing it for your grandmother, for the children we would have, for the future. But the truth is, I signed it because I was afraid. Afraid of losing everything, afraid of starting over, afraid of being nothing. I thought I could work hard enough to pay it off, that I could break the cycle, that I could protect my family from the truth. I was wrong. The rent started small, manageable, but every year it increased. Every year, new fees appeared, new clauses in the contract I had not noticed before. Maintenance costs, land improvement fees, administrative charges, interest on unpaid balances. The Harrow Corporation was always polite, always professional, always reminding me that I had agreed to the terms, that I had signed the papers, that this was the deal. And every year I fell further behind. Every year the debt grew larger, heavier, more impossible. Your grandmother never knew. I could not bear to tell her. She believed we owned the land, that we were building something for our children. When she got sick, I borrowed more money from the corporation to pay for her treatment. They were happy to lend it to me at rates that doubled the debt overnight. When she died, I was already drowning. But I kept silent. I kept working. I kept pretending everything was fine. Your mother grew up thinking she would inherit a farm. I let her believe that lie. I let her plan her life around it, let her bring you into this world, thinking you would have a foundation, a legacy. But when she came of age, the corporation sent her the same letter they sent me, the same impossible debt, now in her name. She tried to fight it, tried to find a lawyer, tried to make sense of the contracts. But the Harrow Corporation had decades of legal power behind them, armies of attorneys, endless resources. She could not win. No one could win. The system was designed to make sure of that. She worked herself to death trying to pay it off. I watched her fade, just like I watched your grandmother fade, and I said nothing. I kept the truth buried because I was a coward, because I thought if I just kept working, kept suffering in silence, somehow I could fix it. But the debt does not end. It never ends. It is not meant to end. It is meant to consume. And now, Clara, it is yours. The letter fell from her hands. She staggered backward, her legs weak, her chest tight. The attic spun around her. The rain hammered the roof like fists. She thought she might scream, but no sound came. Only a hollow, aching silence that filled her lungs and throat and skull. She picked up the letter again, her hands numb, her vision blurred. There was more. I have spent 40 years trying to find a way out. I have written letters, filed complaints, hired lawyers with money I did not have. I have begged, pleaded, fought. But the Harrow Corporation is not a villain you can defeat. It is a machine, a system, a structure built to outlast any single person, any single life. It has no face, no conscience, no mercy. It exists only to grow, to consume, to perpetuate itself. And it will take everything from you, just like it took everything from me and from your mother and from my father and from his father before him. But I am not writing this letter to tell you to give up. I am writing this letter to tell you the truth because you deserve to know what you are fighting. The contract is hidden in the safe beneath the floorboards in the barn. The code is your grandmother's birthday. Inside, you will find every document, every letter, every piece of evidence I have collected over the decades. It is not enough to win, but it is enough to understand. If you choose to walk away, I will not blame you. Burn the contract, sell what little is left, and start over far from here. Build a life free from this curse. But if you choose to fight, know that it will cost you everything. It will take your time, your money, your health, your peace. It will make you into someone you do not recognize. It will consume you, just like it consumed me. I am sorry, Clara. I am sorry I was not strong enough to break this cycle. I am sorry I passed this burden to you. I am sorry I stayed silent for so long. But the silence ends here. The truth is yours now. What you do with it is up to you. Your grandfather, who loved you more than he could ever say. Clara sat on the attic floor, the letter clutched against her chest, her body shaking with sobs that tore through her like storms. She thought of her grandfather, carrying this secret for 40 years, working himself into the grave, dying alone with words he could never speak. She thought of her mother, fighting a battle she did not understand, exhausted and broken, gone too soon. She thought of her great-great-grandfather, a man she had never met, signing a contract in 1898 that would poison 4 generations of his family. And she thought of the Harrow Corporation, faceless and patient, waiting in the shadows, feeding on the labor and suffering of people who had no idea they were trapped until it was too late. She did not know how long she sat there. The rain eventually stopped. The light through the attic window turned from gray to gold to dark. When she finally stood, her legs were stiff, her eyes dry and raw. She folded the letter carefully, placed it back in the envelope, and tucked it into her jacket. Then she walked out of the attic, down the narrow stairs, through the empty house that smelled of her grandfather's ghost, and out into the cold evening air. The barn stood across the field, its roof sagging, its wood dark with age. Clara walked toward it slowly, her boots crunching on frost-covered grass. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of hay and rust. She found the safe exactly where he said it would be, beneath the floorboards near the back wall. The code was easy to remember, her grandmother's birthday, the same day every year that her grandfather had gone silent, staring out the window, lost in a grief he could never name. The safe opened with a heavy click. Inside were stacks of papers, folders, envelopes, all organized with the kind of obsessive care that spoke of a man who had spent decades trying to make sense of the senseless. Clara pulled them out one by one, spreading them across the barn floor. Contracts, letters, bank statements, legal notices, court filings. A timeline of suffering written in ink and stamped with official seals. And at the very bottom of the safe, a small leather journal, its cover worn smooth by her grandfather's hands. She opened it. The first entry was dated 1956, the day after he signed the contract. The handwriting was young, hopeful, full of determination. I will fix this. I will make it right. I will protect my family. The entries grew shorter over the years, more desperate, more defeated. The final entry was from 2 weeks before he died. I have failed. I am sorry. I am so sorry. Clara closed the journal. She sat in the barn as darkness fell, surrounded by the evidence of a war her family had been fighting for over a century, a war they never had a chance of winning. The silence her grandfather had kept was not cowardice. It was the weight of a truth too heavy to speak, a burden too crushing to share, a tragedy too complete. She thought about walking away, burning the contracts, selling the land, starting over somewhere far from here. She thought about what her grandfather had said, that it would cost her everything, that it would consume her, that she would become someone she did not recognize. But she also thought about her mother, dying young and confused, never knowing why. She thought of her grandfather, carrying this secret until it killed him. She thought of her great-great-grandfather, tricked and trapped by men in suits who spoke in language designed to deceive. She thought of every generation of her family, chained to a debt that was never theirs, crushed by a system that fed on their silence. And she made her choice. Clara gathered the documents, every single one, and carried them out of the barn. She loaded them into her car, drove into town, and walked into the office of a lawyer she had found online, someone who specialized in contract law, someone who had a reputation for fighting corporations. She placed the stack of papers on his desk and said, in a voice that did not shake, "I need you to help me destroy them." The lawyer looked at the documents. His expression changed as he read, from curiosity to shock to something that looked almost like fear. He looked up at her and said, "Do you understand what you are asking me to do? This corporation has existed for over 100 years. They have resources you cannot imagine. They will fight you with everything they have. You could spend the rest of your life on this and lose everything." Clara met his eyes. "I know, but I am done with silence." The case took 3 years. 3 years of depositions, court hearings, legal motions, endless paperwork. The Harrow Corporation brought in a team of lawyers, filed motion after motion to dismiss, delay, bury. They claimed the contracts were legal, that her family had agreed to the terms, that the debt was valid and binding. They painted her grandfather as irresponsible, her mother as negligent, her family as failures who refused to honor their obligations. But Clara had something they did not expect. She had her grandfather's journal. She had 40 years of evidence, meticulously documented, showing how the corporation had manipulated clauses, inflated fees, exploited confusion. She had contracts signed by illiterate farmers, written in legal language designed to obscure, structured to trap. She had proof that the original loan in 1898 was predatory, designed never to be repaid, part of a system the Harrow family had used to seize land across the region for generations. And she had silence that had finally broken into truth. The trial made national news. Other families came forward, families with the same story, the same contracts, the same generational debt. The Harrow Corporation tried to settle quietly, offering Clara money to walk away, to sign agreements that would keep the documents sealed. She refused, every time. In the end, the court ruled in her favor. The contracts were declared unconscionable, designed to exploit and deceive. The debt was voided. The land, what was left of it, was returned to her family, free and clear. The Harrow Corporation was ordered to pay restitution, not just to Clara, but to every family they had trapped over the decades. But Clara did not feel victorious. She stood outside the courthouse, surrounded by reporters, cameras flashing, people congratulating her, calling her brave, calling her a hero. And all she could think about was her grandfather, sitting alone in that house, carrying the weight of a secret he could never share, dying without knowing that the silence would finally end. She went back to the farm one last time. The house was still empty, the attic still full of dust and ghosts. She walked to the barn, to the place where she had found the safe, and she knelt on the cold floor. She thought about burning it all, letting the past turn to ash and smoke. But instead, she packed the documents carefully, every single one, and donated them to a historical archive so that others could see, could understand, could learn. She sold the farm, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. She used the money to start a foundation, one that helped families trapped in predatory contracts, that funded legal aid, that fought against the kind of silent, invisible systems that had destroyed her family for generations. She named it after her grandfather, after the man who had kept a letter hidden for 40 years because he believed, wrongly, that silence would protect the ones he loved. Years later, Clara received a letter from a woman in another state. The woman had found her grandfather's documents in the archive. She had a similar story, a similar contract, a similar debt passed down through generations. She wanted Clara's help. She wanted to fight. Clara wrote back. She told the woman the truth, that it would be hard, that it would take everything, that she might lose, but that silence was the real enemy, and the only way to win was to break it. The woman wrote back a single sentence. I am done with silence too. Clara folded the letter and placed it in a drawer next to the yellowed envelope her grandfather had hidden for 40 years. And for the first time since she had found it, she smiled, not because the fight was over, but because the silence finally had ended.